So with the college basketball season starting in a couple of days and the NBA season in full swing, Bleacher Report just dropped a new 2025 NBA mock draft. That's 2 rounds and it has predictions and pro player comparisons, and I want to react to it today. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing? I know you guys do enjoy the NBA draft content, so drop a thumbs up if you guys do enjoy these videos. I'm going to actually have my top 30 prospect rankings for this college NBA season, my preseason edition, out this weekend. So make sure you have subscribed, got alerts on so you can find out when that drops. I'm really excited to kind of just talk about these player prospect fits. And it's funny because like Cooper Flagg is probably going to be his #1 overall pick, and he has him going to the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets have been kind of good to start off this season. Cam Thomas and Dennis Schroeder are playing out of their minds. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks by double digits. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies by double digits. They went to overtime against Nikola Jokic. This is a good Nets team right now, which is making me feel like an idiot because I thought they were going to be historically bad. And now they could definitely be really bad. Like say Cam Thomas missed some time or he's in a funk. Maybe they're not going to get a rhythm going. And I do expect this team to still make trades at the deadline. So they're going to be bad in the second half. And I still think they're going to end up with a bottom 5 pick. So it would be funny if the Nets ended up getting like the 8th overall pick this season. I'm sure fans would be maybe a little bit disappointed with that result because I as much as like Cam Thomas has been good and Schroeder, like I mentioned, they're not doing, I think, anything in the playing tournament. So I still think they could be the odds-on favorite to get #1 or at least finish with the worst record. So he uses Andre Kirilenko defensively and Jalen Johnson offensively for Cooper Flagg. I really like the Kirilenko defensive comp. I've seen that a ton. I've definitely can view that in Cooper Flagg's game over the course of what I've seen so far in his career. I think a little bit more Jalen Johnson than Sean Marion. Like Marion was good and he was a really good defender, but I think Flagg can have a better, I mean, he's got an orthodox like form with his 3-point jumper, but I think that Flagg is going to be a lot better at Duke than Jalen Johnson was, and Flagg is going to be just an elite prospect. He's 17 years old. He's going to be 17 for a little bit. He'll be 18 years old when he starts off his NBA career. He's incredibly young and he's just going to get so much better. But like, there's just a lot of mouths to feed at Duke. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if the dude averaged like 13 points per game on good efficiency. It's just, you got multiple Duke incoming freshmen. You got Tyrese Proctor. You got Caleb Foster. You're going to have a bunch of other guys that we're going to probably get to in this mock draft. So I don't know if Cooper Flagg is going to get as many shots as we've seen in the past from like these projected #1 overall picks. Like maybe even Brandon Miller at Alabama or Anthony Edwards at Georgia or even Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State. Next up, we got, okay, Washington going Dylan Harper. I feel like this is one of the first mocks where I haven't seen Ace Bailey go #2. Washington's also off to kind of a competitive start this season. Bilal Coulibaly has looked great. And maybe if they do have this influx of wings right now, maybe you look for more of a guard, as we're going to see Harper play at Rutgers this season. He's comparing him to Kobe White, a bigger Jalen Brunson, and James Harden. Okay, I mean, he does have the size of James Harden, and obviously he's mentioning a bigger Jalen Brunson. I could see him being as shifty as like Kobe White was when Kobe White was at UNC, but I think Harper is going to be a much better passer than Kobe was with the Tar Heels. I think Jalen Brunson, I mean, it's going to be hard to compare him to Brunson just because Brunson spent a lot of years at Villanova and developed each and every year and became one of the best players in college basketball. But 6'6", 215, if Harper can become a knockdown shooter and just enhance his court vision, he could actually be in consideration #1 with Cooper Flagg. But those are some big ifs this season for him at Rutgers. So 3, he's got Portland going Ace Bailey. They add another wing. I guess, yeah, would you want to add a guard? Probably not, because you have Scoot, Simons, and you do have Sharp. But then your kind of forward depth is getting a little crowded right now. You have Denny, you have Grant, and then obviously in the front court, you have Time Lord, Aiden, and Klingon. And that could look very different next year. But having Ace Bailey and Shaedon Sharpe next to each other in Portland would be a lot of fun to watch just because of that elite athleticism that duo can provide, which honestly is really exciting. Yeah, Brandon Miller, because of the tough shot making, I do like that pro comp. And yeah, what we've seen from Tracy McGrady in his career, I mean, that would be the peak for Ace Bailey if he ended up becoming 80% of what T-Mac was. But I do like the Brandon Miller comp because I think Ace Bailey has shown that he can hit difficult shots, NBA type shots at such a young age, and he hasn't even played a college game yet at the moment I'm recording this. So if he can get more aggressive, finish at the rim, he's going to be just fine going forward. Next up at 4, we have Detroit going VJ Edgecombe. I think Detroit, I mean, they're off to about, I think, a 1-4 start. They just picked up their first win against Philadelphia. Let's get somebody that could probably play the 3 or just anybody that's not going to be in the backcourt, because Ivy and Cade have looked really good this season. Obviously, Cade's not going anywhere. I think Ivy is a big wild card for this team, but there's definitely some lineups with Edgecombe out there. Now, I feel like this team could add some shooting to it for sure, because I mean, Ivy could have his inconsistencies. Asor Thompson and Ron Holland are definitely going to have their inconsistencies, but you're going to have potentially VJ Edgecombe, who could be the most athletic player in this draft, up there with Asor Thompson, who was probably the second most athletic player in his draft class next to his twin brother in men, and Ron Holland, who was the most athletic player in his draft class, in my opinion. That would just be kind of fun to watch in Detroit, just all this athleticism. They can run and gun up and down the floor, catch alley-oops, get downhill. His pro comps are Victor Oladipo and Shaedon Sharpe. I think I like Oladipo a little bit more than Sharpe, but obviously we didn't really get to see Sharpe at all at the college level since he reclassified. But Edgecombe here at number 4, ahead of Nolan Traore, who he is going number 5 to Utah Jazz. And right now, Utah may be the worst team in the NBA, and they may finish with the worst record in the league if Lauri Markkanen misses some time. It was super gruesome, but Taylor Hendricks suffered a freak injury. He's going to be out for the year. Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson haven't really been performing super well to start off the season. Markkanen already banked up, and honestly, I think this Jazz team is going to sell at the deadline. If they could trade Clarkson, Sexton, or John Collins, they're going to do so. The Jazz could be in Cooper Flagg talks, and that's what I want to see. I want to see Cooper Flagg in Utah to play with Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. Oh, Cooper Flagg and Kessler working defensively together would be a lot of fun to watch there, but them getting Nolan Traore is probably something they need. Keontae George, he has been a good, it's funny because when he came out of Baylor, people thought the shot was going to be ready, but the playmaking was going to take some time. And now the playmaking, I think, is there, but the shot is far from there. He has been very inconsistent in his NBA career so far. So maybe that allows Keontae George to operate less with the ball in his hands and can maybe take higher quality shots. Lonzo Ball is the comp. I mean, Lonzo Ball did have a shot at one point, but I think Nolan Traore's shot is probably a little bit more advanced than Lonzo's was coming out of Chino Hills or coming out of UCLA. At number 6, we have the Chicago Bulls going a wing and Drake Powell. I think this is a team, that probably doesn't need another guard right now. Herb Jones, I mean, I've been bought into Drake Powell's defensive ability. I don't know if he's going to be that good, and I think he could just be a little bit more athletic offensively than what Herb Jones was coming out of Alabama, and definitely Will Barton from what we've seen at his peak in the NBA, like for the Denver Nuggets. So Powell is definitely a wild card. I'm kind of shocked that he's number 6. So like, I think everybody has Nolan, Harper, Ace, VJ, and Cooper all in their top 5, maybe a little bit of a switch up outside of the Cooper at number 1. But number 6, I feel like is wide open right now. And whoever honestly gets out to the best start is going to jump into that tier. Right now, I'm thinking it's like Kasparas Jakushanis over at Illinois, but I could definitely see it being Drake Powell. I think him versus Ian Jackson this year is going to be a lot of fun for a good Tar Heels team because Powell's going to be able to take some high quality shots because RJ Davis, who's going to have so much gravity towards him as being one of the best scorers in college basketball, and Elliot Cadeau with his sophomore jump that I think is going to happen with his court vision, it could be great for Drake Powell's development, and that could be a fun player. Him with Matsas on the wings if you assume Zach LaVine is going to be gone next year. Conkinable going to Charlotte at 7. Man, this guy's been like an exhibition standout. He's coming in as like the Reed Shepherd of this draft class. He's supposed to be the best shooter in this class, and it's been on display, and he is actually pretty athletic. He's 6'6", 220 right now, and has him out. Maybe he could play a little bit smaller than that, size-wise. Like, I wonder if he's actually 6'6", but he's got such a high motor. He wants to get downhill. He plays super competitive, and his jumper is so smooth right now. Off screens, off the dribble, catch and shoot. He's going to have, I think, not like a meteoric rise throughout the college big boards, but I could definitely see him. I mean, 7's already pretty high, but if he wasn't like a consensus top 10 guy, I think he will be around the midseason point because I think that shot is going to play. Like I said before with Cooper Flagg, so many mouths to feed in Duke, but that's also going to provide so much attention on the defensive side of the floor for opposing teams, which means Conkinable is going to get so many good looks. And like, you can add either him or Liam McNeely that I think are going at it for the best shooter in this draft, like best pure shooter. Either one in Charlotte, I think would be great around LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. There's Kasparas Jakushanis going to Toronto at number 8. That's a interesting fit for sure because I think there could be a little bit of a ball, not like dominant kind of aspect to this, but Scotty can operate best with the ball in his hand. Same with at times with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. You had Kasparas Jakushanis, but I think for Toronto, if they get to this point, it's best player available. But honestly, Scotty Barnes is missing some time. Emmanuel Quickley got hurt. RJ Barrett's already been banged up to start off the year. He's healthy now, but this Toronto team, I think, could also be in consideration for the worst record in the NBA if Scotty Barnes does miss some time. And Spencer Dinwiddie is this comp. I don't really like that comp because I think he plays like a bigger Spencer Dinwiddie, and if he puts on a little bit more weight, like he's 6'10". I don't think he's 6'10". I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think he's 6'10". 200 pounds, he's gonna have to put on some weight for sure. San Antonio going Trey Johnson at number 9. I'm a big fan of Trey Johnson. I think he has one of the best mid-range jumpers in this pre-draft right now. I think it's probably Ace Bailey 1. Trey Johnson may be right behind him, and they need kind of these scoring wings outside of Victor Wembanyama. I think Jeremy Showen has done a great job with his development so far this season to be able to have the ball in his hands and be a complementary piece to Wemby. We haven't seen Vassell yet this season, but I think eventually you probably are going to be a lot more invested into like a Trey Johnson rather than somebody that shares his last name in San Antonio like Keldon Johnson. Cam Thomas, yes. I hope we see him have a little bit more playmaking ability than Cam Johnson at Texas. Like that was the reason why Cam Thomas kind of fell out of LSU, because of his limited playmaking, but right now it's working wonders for the Brooklyn Nets for sure. At number 10, we have the San Antonio Spurs with back-to-back picks. This one was via Atlanta. This one is from San Antonio. I think San Antonio is going to finish worse than this. I'm not super high on their team as a whole this year. Ben Seraph here from Ratio Farm playing in Israel. His comp is Manu Ginobili. See, that's what I think, like more of like a Kasper Shakushanis, even though I think he gets downhill a little bit more than Ben, but Seraph has a great court vision right now, and he's 6'5". He's going to be a 1 or 2 or a 3, but I think somebody with his size, his playmaking ability, his court vision, knowing when to make the extra pass, he's got a really good mid-range jumper, and he can make shots that are contested. He can get rebounds. He's going to be a fun player to watch. I think the international class this year is also really good. Like we talked about Nolan Traore, we talked about now Ben Seraph, and then obviously we'll get into probably Hugo Gonzalez, Rocco Zikarsky, and some of those guys. But like Kasper Shakushanis was supposed to play overseas, and he came over to Illinois, which we'll get to Igor Demon as well. I'm really excited that that's becoming more of a thing with college basketball. Number 11, OKC getting Colin Murray-Boyles. Yeah, this is somebody that could eventually replace maybe the Kenrich Williams type role they've had in the past. He is a little bit undersized for somebody that's a center. I think needs to work on his shot a little bit. Like that could really make him a for sure lottery pick if he can develop more of an outside jumper. Randall is this comp, and Randall wasn't really this good of a shooter coming out of Kentucky, and he really developed that over the course of his career, because Murray-Boyles is one of the best defenders in this class, and we saw that from him last year during his freshman year at South Carolina. So yeah, him and OKC just getting like the switchable defender that could play 8 to 12 minutes a night is going to be so valuable for them, and I think they'd probably value that a little bit more than going like maybe a higher upside scoring wing than like a Jahlil Bethea or an Ian Jackson, because that's not really what they need with their team dynamic right now. Like they got the scores, they need guys that are going to put in those hustle minutes and those role playing minutes. We got Lee McNeely, number 12 here to Houston, which I think could be a steal of a pick. So I guess this works out with Houston because OKC gets the better, I think, of the three between OKC, Houston, and their pick. And then I guess it's just kind of goes in reverse there. Rockets are number 2, and then Clippers are number 3 in that pecking order. McNeely going to Houston at 12. I mean, I would really enjoy watching McNeely and Reed Shepherd shoot the ball together in Houston. They're another team that I think needs to trim out their roster over time. Like, will their lottery pick get meaningful minutes? Like, Reed Shepherd is struggling to find minutes, and he was the 3rd overall pick. I don't think McNeely's going to be as good of a defender as Keegan Murray was at Iowa, and I don't know if he's going to project into that. Maybe he puts on weight, fills out into his body a little bit more, then we could see that. But he's going to be a lot of fun to watch at UConn this season. So we have Atlanta going, come on, Molly Watch here at number 13. Honestly, I don't hate this for Atlanta just because Clint Capella is most likely going to be off the roster next year. Onyeka Okongwu is going to be your starting center. This is a project play for come on here at 13, and I think he's going to be someone that's going to have a lot of ups and downs at Duke this year, but you could probably see the shot blocking potential. And honestly, like, it's funny, like, Okongwu, I think he was pretty NBA ready coming out in that 2020 draft out of USC, but they stuck him behind somebody that ended up stopping him from being a starter for now. We're going on year number 5. We see he's playing more than Clint Capella this year, even though he's coming off the bench. But come on, Maluach could actually benefit, I think, from being a backup for 4 to 5 years, honestly, behind Onyeka Okongwu. I kind of like the idea here with him for sure. Alex Sarr is his pro comp. Alex Sarr, I think, had a better touch and a better dribble than Maluach right now. So we have Golden State going Igor Demon here. Here at number 14, he's going to be playing at BYU. Coming over from Russia. He's a crafty player as well, man. He's got great size. 6'9". Also feel like that's a little tall, but I think he can play the 1, the 2, or the 3. It's going to see how, like, the court vision is going to play this year under Kevin Young at BYU. But if he has a consistent jumper, good playmaking ability, and can just hold his own on the defensive end of the floor, oh my God, I would actually love to watch him in the Golden State Warriors system with Steph. Noah Essengate going to the Thunder here at 15. I think this could have a little bit of like a Ousmane Dieng-esque to it, where Noah, I think, could definitely take a little bit of time to develop, really fill out into his body. Nobody could be as a shooter, as an off-ball player, because I think he is a good cutter right now, and I think he's got the length, the wingspan, and the size to be a versatile defender. But that's kind of what we saw in Ousmane Dieng when he was coming out in that 2022 draft. So for OKC, they have a deep roster right now. and this pick is from the Heat if the Heat make the playoffs. So this would be somebody I think would be like not a drafting stash, but he would spend some time in the G League, and then you hope on year like 3 and 4 of that contract, say there's injuries or guys get priced out that they can't re-sign, SNG could be a rotational guy for them. 16 is one of my favorite prospects in this draft, and I think he's getting a lot of hype right now because he's been playing well in exhibition games. Boogie Flynn in Arkansas. The thing is, he's behind DJ Wagner, you would say, in that backcourt at the point guard depth chart. I think Boogie Flynn's a really good prospect, but I think DJ Wagner is going to play a lot better this year than he did last year when he was at Kentucky. Now he's still at Arkansas still under Coach Calipari. But yeah, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Arkansas. They did a really good job in the transfer portal. So Flynn might not have like eye-popping numbers, but he could definitely be one of the best bench guards in college basketball. We've seen plenty of bench guards be top draft picks. I mean, Reed Shepherd was coming off the bench a ton last year. Rob Dillingham was coming off the bench a ton last year, and those guys were top 10 picks. Like Devin Booker, it's been kind of the Kentucky way. It's funny enough that all those guys went to Kentucky. Boogie Flynn's going to be playing under Coach Calipari, who I really like, and I think he could be a top 15 player in this class. Rocco Zikarsky, I currently have him over Kaman in my big board, but for this mock, I'm fine. Well, he's got Atlanta going Rocco and Kaman. I don't know about that. I don't know if they would take 2 centers here when they have a Kungwu under contract going forward. I like Rocco a little bit more NBA ready wise. I think he could actually be like, I like the Walker Kessler. I like the Klingon comparisons. An elite shot blocker out of the way. I think he's not as like clumsy and awkward with the ball in his hands as Kaman is, but he's definitely gonna have to work on that this year for the NBL. But he's 18 years old, and I think the agility and just kind of maybe the footwork also needs to work out with him a little bit more. But I think he's got really good defensive potential, and I think you take a flyer on that in this draft. Hugo Gonzalez going here at 18 to the Indiana Pacers, one of the best on and off ball defenders we are going to see in this draft. Coming out of Spain, playing for Real Madrid, he's a really good defender. The thing with him is, though, he can score inside, he can score at the rim. Can he develop that outside shot? And we know that Indiana likes to take a lot of threes, so I think that's something he would have to work on if he wants to be drafted by the Pacers. Memphis Grizzlies, Darion Reed here out of Alabama. I think high variance prospect right here. I think Reed could be definitely somebody that doesn't go into this draft and stays another year, maybe enters the transfer portal. He could be someone that could jump into the top 15, or he can go at the end of the second round. I think it's going to be a big year for him in Alabama. A lot of mouths to feed for some of these teams, right? Alabama's a really deep team. Jaren Stevenson and Mark Sears, and we'll see if there's going to be enough playing time for Reed over the course of this year, and you can get that rhythm going, because I think he is actually a good prospect. Donovan Freeman here going to the Rockets at 20. I like this because I think he can play the 4. He can play the 5. Like Murray Boyles, is a little bit undersized for the center spot, but I think he's going to be a really impactful defender on ball, in the post defensively, at the rim for Syracuse this year. And it's nice to see Syracuse have somebody mentioned to be in the first round. Jaleel Bethea going 21 to the Magic. I think he's kind of low, but I think they could use this somebody. It's funny, he's comparing him to Anthony Simons, and I feel like that's somebody that's been rumored trade-wise to the Orlando Magic over the last couple of years. I do like the idea of them getting Jaleel Bethea here, because I haven't had Bethea go this low in my mocks, because I think at this point it could be more of like a Kwame Evans and Michael Ruzic, but here getting Bethea, that gives me 2 thumbs up for that idea. Carter Bryant going to the Jazz at 22. I haven't been super high on Bryant yet. I think he's also going to be someone that's going to need a little bit of time, I think, for development. Now you could take a flyer on him late in the first, early in the second. Could be a G League guy, because we saw Peyton Watson, who I was like, this guy definitely needs another year at UCLA. He got drafted in the first round. I think that could be a similar vibe to Carter Bryant this year, but I think a little bit better as an offensive prospect from what I've seen than Peyton Watson was when he was at UCLA. Asanuo here, who I like more than Carter Bryant. I probably like more than Darion Reed as well. He's got going 23 to the Nets, which I think would be a steal, because if he could be a consistent floor spacer and has the size more than like Darion Reed does or Carter Bryant to be a 5 at the NBA level, and his 3-point shot is going down, oh yeah, that is going to be very enticing to NBA scouts. He shot 41.5% from 3 at Montverde last year. Like him, I don't know if we'll get to Derek Queen, but he played at Montverde. Cooper Flagg, Lee McNeely. Montverde was loaded last year. Will Riley, okay, going to the Dallas Mavericks at 24. From Canada, he's going to be playing on Illinois as well with Kasperi Shakushanis. We'll see how good the shot is, but yeah, I think he could have that Keyshawn George type play if he could show that 3-and-D potential in that role for a good Illinois team. He could end up being in the first round. Mentioned Michael Ruzic before. He's going to Orlando here at 25. I mean, you have a 6'10", almost 7-foot big man that can space the floor. That's extremely young right now and wants to play physical inside. that could be great. And I would like to see him in Dallas being around like Luka Doncic. Alex Tuiga here going to the Utah Jazz at 26. He's been lights out as a shooter for the Sydney Kings, and you're really getting, I think, that really good floor spacing ability. Grady Dick, I don't know if he's going to be as good as a finisher around the rim, and Dick, I think, was a little bit younger at Kansas, but I think he could be somebody that rises up draft boards throughout the year. Dink Pate going to the Thunder at 27. Yeah, I mean, you're getting Noah Essengay, you're getting Colin Murray-Boyles, and Dick Pate in this mock. We are preaching defense. And honestly, like I said, OKC, they got their scoring. They do. They have J-Dub, Chet, Shea for the next 5-10 years. They need complementary pieces around them, and they can really add a ton of talent in this draft. We got the Brooklyn Nets here via the Knicks getting Kenan Catchings, who I haven't been able to watch too much yet. He's going to be playing at BYU. I'm really excited because a lot of you guys have been saying I got to dive into him. So I'm excited to watch this BYU as a whole this year. The Big 12 is just a loaded conference. Carter Knox going to the Nets at 29. He's going to Arkansas as well. He was going to Kentucky once Coach Calipari left. He ended up leaving as well. He's the younger brother of Kevin Knox. We'll see if he's going to be physical enough, as good of a rebounder, and is he going to be able to get enough shots off this year? Is he going to be able to crack this rotation? But Coach Calipari has done a phenomenal job developing these incoming highly touted freshmen and getting them to be first-round picks. Kwame Evans going to the Celtics at 30. I'm more of like the Cam Jones fit here, honestly. I think Cam Jones just screams Boston Celtic. So we have Sandin here going to the Nets at 31. He's somebody I'm excited to watch this year because he's got really good size, good ball handling ability, and is playing at Arizona State. I'm gonna have to dive into the tape a little bit more. Boston at 32, yeah, that's also like, I think Alex Caravan would fit a little bit better, but I could see that as, oh my God, Caravan in Boston's system would be unreal as just an off-ball slasher and cutter around Tatum and Jaylen Brown, or even Peyton Pritchard off the bench unit. Nick Clifford here, who was supposed to be in the NBA draft last year. He decided to withdraw his name from the class. I think that would be good value. He could score inside for Toronto there at 33. And based off what they've done with Jonathan Mogbo and Jamal Shed here in the second round in the 24 draft, they could hit on the second round. Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joe's. Shout out St. Joe's, man. Getting a prospect here. Rasheer Fleming, we'll see how he plays this year in the A10. Ian Jackson going 35. I think he's a top 30 player right now. I think he's a top 20 mock draft type guy because of the athleticism, the 3-level scoring, and what he can do as a defender. So I think that's kind of low. I can see him being a first round pick. Jameer Watkins, who I got to see at the combine last year. He's a fun prospect, but a little bit on the older side. Maybe he lacks the pop, the athleticism, but I think can play off ball, and we'll see. Yeah, like 24 years old. That's more of a second round guy. Michael Ajayi from Gonzaga. I think he transferred from Pepperdine, I want to say. And he played really good at the combine. I'm surprised he didn't enter the NBA draft. Milan here from Iowa State. Got to learn more about him. Not too familiar with this game, I'll be honest with you. Same with Brandon Garrison. I think learning more of these second round picks is something I'm going to learn throughout the year. Darren Williams from Texas Tech, just kind of getting familiar with these names. Krivas I've seen. I think like Sam Vecini in the Athletic mock had him in the first round. So we're going to see who merges as like maybe like the best center from the college pool, because it could be Maluach, it could be Krivas here at Arizona. Maybe it's more Murray Boyles, or maybe it's Carter Bryant. Maybe it's one of those guys, Asa Newell. So it's cool that that's going to be up for grabs. You have Tucker DeVries here playing at West Virginia, the Drake transfer. Fun player, one of the best players in college basketball that you're like, oh yeah, he could play in the NBA, but probably not. KJ Lewis going to the Lakers here. I think he's a fun prospect as well. He made my honorable mentions list, and I think he's someone that can play a winning style of basketball in the Lakers who don't have a first round pick. Kind of need to hit on that. Robert McRae here out of Jacksonville. Gotta learn more about this guy playing at Jacksonville. Going to the Warriors at 44. JT Toppin, I think, is also a fringe first-round talent. Leaving New Mexico to go to Texas Tech. This guy preaches defense. At 45 to the Nets is a great pick. Money Williams here from Montana. Don't first name. Campaign. We'll see the shooting this year at Montana. Somebody threw his name out a little while ago, and I kind of have fun watching his tape. I don't think Cam Jones goes 47. This guy is going to be like the Baylor Shireman type winning basketball player. Maybe, I guess Tyler Kolek did fall in the draft last year. Maybe Ryan Dunn, though. He's going to be able to knock down threes, pass, defend, dribble. I'm surprised we haven't seen Hunter Salas yet either. Kobe Brea here from Dayton, who I guess transferred to Kentucky. Got to learn more about him. I assume he's a good spot-up shooter. Jackson Robinson, who is going to be playing at Kentucky. He left BYU, followed his head coach, Mark Pope. He's going to be playing at Kentucky. He's a good player as well. He could finish at the line. He could shoot the 3 ball as well. Salas going 50, man. I think he's the first-round talent. I really do. He was really good last year at Wake Forest. Proctor, 51. He's kind of had a fall off, and I wonder how involved he's going to be with Duke. I mean, he's going to be involved. He's probably going to start for them, but his value is just, I feel like, gone down each and every year. We have Jaron Stevenson, who I mentioned a little bit before, going to Cleveland at 52. I think he's more of, yeah, like that swingman type. I think could be in that Noah Clowney role for sure. Sion James from Duke. I'm surprised he's the next Duke guy we have here and not like Isaiah Evans or Darren Harris. Interesting. We have Tiero here playing at Arkansas. A lot of Arkansas talent in this draft. Carl here playing at Indiana, leaving from Stanford. Caleb Foster. Wow, surprised we have Caleb Foster. I guess, yeah, Caleb Foster, though. But no Darren Harris or Isaiah Evans. Chaz Wayner here, who's going to be playing at Tennessee. And then you have St. Thomas. Oh, yeah, St. Thomas at USC is a bucket. And he can get a lot of rebounds as well. Aaron Scott at North Texas. Shout out the American Conference. And that is going to be it. Looks like we do have a forfeited pick this year. So that was a fun 2-round mock draft to talk about. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on this in the comments below. Probably going to be the last mock draft I react to for a little bit now that the college season is starting up on Monday. Like I said, though, you'll get my first top 30 prospect rankings list out this weekend as well. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.